Hello everyone, let's get ready to talk about some Soap & Glory makeup. So today's video is going to be a brand review on the brand Soap & Glory, specifically their makeup line. I know that they have a very popular bath and body line. They have a lot of lotions, scrubs, cleansers, things that people really enjoy. I enjoy those as well, but today we're going to be talking about the makeup, which I feel like is slightly less talked about in the beauty world. Soap & Glory is a brand based out of the UK, but their products are now available in the US and many other countries, I believe. They are a Boots brand, which Boots, to my understanding, is kind of like a large pharmacy type store. They sell like health and beauty and toiletries, that kind of thing. Soap & Glory has a great website, soapandglory.com. If you go there, you can see in your country or your area where you can purchase things in the store. Otherwise, here in the US, I have seen their products at Walgreens, Target, and Ulta. I haven't seen a lot of the makeup in the Ulta store, but I have purchased a lot of their makeup from the Ulta website. So I will link their website below along with a link to their claim about being cruelty-free. I just like to cover that in my brand review. Basically what they say is that they have a strong stand against animal testing. They try to avoid it wherever possible type of thing. However, they and any really cosmetic brand cannot guarantee that somewhere along the line, whether in the past or the present or, you know, some sort of disconnected manufacturer hasn't tested some of their products on animals. They're saying that it's impossible to guarantee. So I'm not sure how you want to take that. Take that for what you will. Again, I will link that below, but I just wanted to quickly mention that. Another thing that's really cool, Soap & Glory is a slightly more expensive drugstore brand, but because they're a drugstore brand, they are subject to all of the drugstore sales. When I first started buying these products, they were at Target for, I believe, 20% off, or buy one get one 40% off, or something like some really good deal. And then of course any coupons you have for Walgreens, if you purchase them at Walgreens, you can use those coupons. You get your Walgreens points for that. Target, you can use the red card. So it's nice that they are a drugstore brand and you can get a discount on the product because they are on the more expensive side of drugstore makeup. And you can also purchase all of their products at soapandglory.com as well. So I have decided to split this video into two parts. Today I'm going to be talking about face primers, foundations, concealers, color correctors, their powder products, face powder products, as well as their blush and bronzers, and their eyeshadow palettes. So I have a lot to get through. Let's jump right in. So the first product I have here is their One Heck of a Blot Instant Perfecting Power Primer. This has shine block technology that it's supposed to last for 12 hours. And it's supposed to decrease your pores. It says you can wear it alone or under or over makeup. I like to wear it under makeup. I'll give you a little sneak peek here. So it's got a kind of a pinkish white tint to it, but as soon as you rub it in, it goes away completely. And I really enjoy this primer. I feel like it's really nice, like it soaks into the skin nicely, and I have been using this quite a lot because it does feel really nice and refreshing. It does have that blur effect as well, which is really nice. So this primer retails for $14. I really like this. This is probably one of my favorite products that I'm going to talk about in this video. I find myself reaching for it a lot. It's really easy to use. I feel like it is comparable to the Too Faced Hangover RX primer. It doesn't have the same scent, and it's a teensy bit thicker, but it has the same kind of feeling of like almost a moisturizer, and it's not super slippery, but the way that it blends into the skin, it still has a blurring effect and a smoothing effect. It doesn't fill in pores completely, but I do feel like it really has a good effect on just smoothing out the skin and making everything look more even and more prepared for makeup. I don't have a ton of drugstore primers that I love either, because I do feel like they tend to just feel like they're not doing anything. They're just kind of sitting on top of the skin. This one I feel like really does absorb into the skin. So if I had to give this one a grade, I would give it an A+. Next I have the Kick-Ass Super Blur Imperfections Eraser. This is a primer stick that retails for $10. Now I will tell you that this stick unfortunately has fallen out on me. I have traveled with this for a few times, so it's gotten knocked around, but yeah, that falls out, so that's unfortunate. It is a twist up, which I love in any stick product. It just makes it so much handier to use. It would kind of have to be, because they'd have to make a sharpener for that. That'd be crazy. Anyways, So this is something that I have used in conjunction with the other primer, the One Heck of a Blot, or you can use it by yourself. I prefer to use this more on the spots where I want extra coverage, extra filling in of my pores, if that makes sense. Like I said, the other one does blur, but it doesn't fill in the pores quite as much. This has more of that silicone feel, and when you go in where this is where my pores are the worst, I will put that primer on first, and then I'll use this right in the areas where my pores, where I want to fill in my pores the most. And I really do enjoy this one as well. I don't know that I love it as much as some other pore filling primers that I have, but I do feel like this is a nice one for $10. It's a really good drugstore find. Next product I have is the Hocus Focus Instant Visual Flaw-Softening Illuminator. This retails for $15. So this is labeled as an illuminator, but I have found that it works best for me as a primer under foundation, like an illuminating moisturizer almost, or you can mix it in with your foundation to get more of a glow. I don't feel like putting it on top like as a liquid highlighter really works. Just, it's not quite formulated right to be a liquid highlighter. It doesn't blend out in the skin enough, and when you do blend it out, it pretty much disappears. I don't know, it just doesn't work for me as a liquid highlighter on its own, but I love it as a primer. I love it under foundation. It has a similar feel to the One Heck of a Blot primer in the liquidy sense. I'll show you here. Whoops, that's a lot. And it definitely has a lot of glow to it. So if you're looking for something that's going to help you look more glowy without, you know, maybe without making your skin greasy or something like that, this is the perfect product. I really love this so much. I love putting it, this summer I've been really loving putting it under foundation, and if you prefer to mix it in with your foundation, or you can mix it in with your moisturizer, whatever you want to do, that kind of thing. But so that's it kind of half blended out, and then of course it does blend all the way into the skin, and it still leaves your skin with a nice sheen, sort of a glowy sheen. I just really love it. It's got kind of a goldish pink almost to it, which I think will make it work for lots of different skin tones because it has the gold and the pink in it. So yeah, I really love this. I feel like they are really on their face primer game. They have a really good selection of face primers. Okay, next let's talk about their color correctors. They have two products. They both retail for $10. We have the Kick-Ass Just Bright Tired Skin Concealer and the Kick-Ass All Is Calm Anti-Redness Concealer. So the purple one is for brightening, making dull skin look a little bit brighter. I don't use color correctors a lot, but I wanted to try these just to see kind of what the formula was like and how they worked. I tried these kind of where I would put concealer to highlight my face. I put this, and I mean, it does its job. It shows up and it makes things look a little bit brighter. I just don't know that I personally feel like it's necessary on my skin tone, but I think it's really cool that they have that. And then the green one is for canceling out redness. I use this one a little bit more because I have more redness that I want to cancel out. It's a very light shade of green, so you do have to blend it in, but I feel like the formula is pretty nice. So you can use this on like blemishes and stuff, or just any redness on your face. I use this like around my nose area, that kind of thing. It does say that it has anti-blemish technology in it, so I'm not sure what the ingredients are. I couldn't really figure that out, but maybe it has something that helps you fight acne at the same time, which is really cool. These are not as slippery as I thought they would be. They set fairly nicely once you rub them into the skin, which is huge for me because a lot of times color correctors, especially at the drugstore, will be like a really slippery material, and it just, because you have to put foundation over it, you know, it has to be able to be covered because you don't want green and purple spots on your face, but once you do that, it doesn't work as well. So these are a very nice formula. I really enjoy these. If you are a fan of color correctors, I would recommend these for you. Next, they only had one concealer product that I could find. This is the Kick-Ass Blur and Brighten Concealer Crayon. This retails for $9, so it's on the cheaper end, and it is in this crayon pencil formula. This is really going to depend on whether or not you like this type of a concealer. I can't use this under my eyes. I find that it's too thick and it actually accentuates my pores. I like a liquid concealer that doesn't really do that, you know, under my eyes. So, and that's really the main place that I wear concealer. I can use it to highlight, and I haven't used this really to highlight. I haven't really thought about that, but I have used this before I put on foundation. After I have primer on, I've used this to cover up blemishes and dark spots on my skin before I do foundation. That's kind of an extra step when I want a really full coverage look. And this does work really well for that. You just kind of rub it on the skin and then pat it in. And again, this has a very similar texture to those color correctors where it's slightly thicker, it's not greasy, and you can really blend it in and melt it into the skin naturally and nicely. The shade I have here is medium, and I did see that they have quite a few, I think, other shades on the website. I could only find a couple in the stores, but I think they have a lot more on the website, which is nice. Okay, let's talk foundation. I have a lot to say about this guy because I have been using it for quite a while. This is the One Heck of a Blot All Day Liquid to Powder Foundation, and it retails for $19. So yes, this is a liquid to powder foundation, meaning that it will leave a powder-like finish on your skin. So this foundation has Shine Block, 12-hour long-wear technology, and super blur powders. So it is a liquid to powder. Personally, I want to, just being completely honest, I normally don't reach for liquid to powder foundations, so this was a little bit out of the box for me. And also I want to say that this is not the perfect shade for me, unfortunately. It is a really nice tone. It's yellow. It's got a really nice yellowy undertone for my skin, and I can make it work with bronzers and stuff like that, but it's a little bit too light, so I kind of struggle with it. Wearing it on its own. I'm not wearing it on its own today. I tried mixing it with other things and it mixes okay, but it doesn't mix very well because it has that liquid to powder. It's kind of like trying to mix a matte foundation with a cream foundation. They don't mix very well because as soon as you start blotting this in, it starts drying to a powder foundation, which makes it harder to work with in my opinion, and it also makes it harder to do things that I've been doing recently, like cream contouring. Cream contouring is really hard with powder on your face, and this kind of dries to a powder. I prefer to use a beauty blender with this product, and once you get it on your face, it actually does look really nice. I like the finish of it. It's just a little bit of work to get it to that point where I like it, and that's disregarding the fact that it's not the perfect color for me, but I actually probably have used at least half this bottle because I've given it a really fair try, and I do like the finish that it leaves on the skin. So as for the finish, I have to note that it takes about an hour for the complete finish to come through. When you first put it on, I'm going to insert some clips here of me applying this foundation just on its own. When you first put it on, it really looks a little bit patchy. It looks a little bit weird because it takes it a minute to kind of settle into that but it takes it a minute to settle into that finish that it's supposed to be, that powdery finish. I think it has to kind of mix with your skin and the oils in your skin and stuff like that to really look natural. It kind of will look streaky and patchy and powdery at first, but if you just continue to blend it in with that beauty blender and then give it a few minutes, yeah, I feel like sometimes up to an hour it can take to blend in, and then it does look really natural. And that's not to say that you can't do the rest of your makeup on top of it while it's settling into their skin. Just don't judge it right away. Give it like at least an hour or so before you judge what you think of it. As far as wear time, I feel like this foundation has a good 5 to 6 hour wear time, which is pretty good for me. I mean, generally at that point with most foundations, most makeup, I have to do touch-ups somewhat anyways. This I find does tend to break up around my nose areas that get really oily. So like the creases in my nose and maybe around my mouth and chin a little bit, it tends to break up and kind of disappear. It's pretty normal for me. That's just like the oily T-zone, the oils break up that foundation. That's pretty normal, but I do notice that. Other than that though, I feel like it does keep its nice finish throughout the day, and if you wear a primer with it and you set it with the setting spray, those things are going to help it last a lot longer. I'm really interested to go on their website and try to find my perfect shade so that I can really see how much difference it makes when the shade fits me, but regardless, I can say that this is a nice foundation. I really do like it, and if you like a liquid to powder foundation and you want to buy a drugstore product, this is a great one. I definitely recommend it. I personally don't see myself using it a lot. Again, if it was my right shade, I might use it more, but I don't like the powdery finish. It's just not my taste, so it's not my favorite product. It's not going to be like in my top 5 drugstore foundations because it's just not my favorite formula, but I think it is good, and for people who prefer that formula, I think you'll like it. Next, let's talk about face products. So they have 2 setting powders. The first one I want to talk about is the Kick-Ass Instant Retouch Pressed Powder. This powder retails for $16. This, I will tell you right off the bat, is my personal favorite. I adore this powder. I have used it quite a ton. I don't know if you can see. You can see in the insert that I've used it a lot. Like the words are all rubbed off. I just really love it. This is the first, I believe, translucent pressed powder that's designed for the entire face that has a yellow tint that I've ever tried. I love yellow tinted powders for setting my under eyes. That's my absolute favorite go-to, and that's what I started using this for, and then I just kind of started using it all over my face and fell in love with it and stayed in love with it, and I really love this powder. This is definitely one of my favorite products of theirs, and I can definitely see myself repurchasing this when I run out. I feel like this blends into the skin really nicely, and it doesn't leave a powdery residue. It just kind of settles into my skin. It's perfect for my skin tone again, so if you have a darker skin tone, it is absolutely perfect, and I don't feel like it leaves like a powdery white cast or anything like that. I haven't noticed any flashback. I mean, I have bright lights on right now and I'm definitely wearing this powder and I don't feel like it has any sort of a flashback. So yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about this one. The next one, however, is a little bit of a different story. This is the One Heck of a Blot Super Translucent Mattifying Powder. This also retails for $16. It's interesting that they say super translucent on there because I find this one to be much less translucent than the Kick-Ass one. This one I find does create a white cast on my face and does leave more powdery residue that I can see, and that could be just because of the tint. I mean, okay, so right now you can see too, and that's another thing, is that it's got this like hard pan from where my foundation kind of rubbed off on it. I don't know, it feels really nice. It feels like a really nice translucent powder, but possibly just because the color is a little bit more beige and lighter for my skin tone, it just doesn't work as well. It doesn't blend into the skin and create that natural, not really, you know, barely there, not even there, translucent powder effect. To me, this is more of a tinted, like pressed powder that has a color to it. So I think if your skin tone was closer to this, it would work really well for you. It just doesn't work for me as well. Yeah, this is not my favorite. Next powder we have is one that I don't really know what category to put in, and I'll explain why. This is the Glow All Out Super Luminizing Highlighting Powder. This one retails for $15. So it's called a highlighting powder, and it has this sort of pinkish tint to it. Really pretty tint. I really liked it. When I first got it, I was super excited for it, but you guys, I cannot seem to make this work on me at all. It does not work as a highlighter. It's way too pink, and it's not like highlighty enough. It just kind of looks like I have like a whitish, pinkish cast on my skin. It doesn't shimmer or reflect really like a highlighter should. I would be interested to see someone with like cool toned or pink undertoned skin try this as a highlighter and also as a setting powder, because it might work really well for that kind of a person. It just doesn't really work for me. It's definitely not a highlighter. Like I said, it just doesn't, I mean, this is the only powder highlighting product that they have, and it just doesn't work for me, or at least that I found, and it just doesn't work for me as a highlighter whatsoever. So unfortunately, this one didn't work very well for me. Again, the powder is very fine, very easily blendable, and really pretty. It's just not personally my favorite. Okay, moving on to the blush and bronzer category. They have two products that I believe are supposed to be blushes. The first one is Peach Party, a juicy multicolor blush brick. Peach Party retails for $15. This is what it looks like here. I love the packaging too, by the way. I love that sort of vintage retro style. Kind of reminds me of the Balm a little bit, that kind of packaging. This is what it looks like. Beautiful color wheel design. I love that design so much in there. The downfall is that it's really hard to use these colors individually. You really can't. If you wanted to use them on your cheeks individually, it'd be pretty much impossible because of the small slivers. However, you can use them as eyeshadows individually. So like I can swatch, you know, these separately and get the separate colors, and you could easily use that as eyeshadow, which would be very pretty. It just doesn't work on the cheeks, I don't think, unless you have some magic skills or a magic brush or something like that. I feel like although it's called Peach Party and you see this bronzy shade, there's not a lot of peach shade in here. This one right here is like the only peachy really tones, and it doesn't pull through in the blush. It pulls a lot more pink. And so when I put it on my cheeks, right now I'm actually wearing the other one, but the one I'm wearing is pretty pink. This one is even lighter, frostier pink when you mix them all together. So I don't find that it works super well for my skin tone. It's almost more like a highlighter type of a product rather than a blush, but I think if you have more fair skin tone, this would show up very nicely and work really well. It has a really pretty sheen shimmer to it with that hint of color. I love products like that for like a one-step blush product. I personally am not going to be reaching for this that much because it doesn't work super well on my skin tone. Next we have Love at First Blush. This is a Rosy Radiance Shimmer Powder. Also retails for $15. This has the same color wheel design in it where you are supposed to mix all these colors together to get your blush shade. And again, you could use them separately as eyeshadows, but I personally really like this blush shade on its own. That's all that I'm wearing on my cheeks today. I mixed it in with the bronzer a little bit up here, but mostly what you see on my cheeks is just this, and I like it because it does have that color, rosy color to it, but it also has a lot of shimmer and shine, so I didn't need to wear a highlighter today. It just kind of is your one step and done with the cheeks type of a product. So I feel like this goes along with the peach one in that they're both really nice products. They're very shimmery, but they don't look chunky or glittery or anything like that on the skin. They blend in very nicely and they add that pop of color, which is really nice as well. I feel like this one is a little bit more suited for my skin tone, although I wouldn't mind if they came out with some darker ones as well. That would be great, but yeah, I really enjoy this one and I definitely would recommend it. Next we have the Wonder Bronze Supernatural Sun-Kissed Shimmer Brick. This also retails for $15 and this also has the color wheel effect in it there. This again is very similar formulation to the blushes in that it's not chunky, not glittery, very, very shimmery. In a bronzer, that's kind of an interesting thing. You have to be really careful with how you use it because you can't use it for contouring really. This is way too shimmery to be a contouring product and you just want to be careful where you put it because it's going to attract the light and also make your skin bronzy. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I personally don't love this bronzer because it's just not the right tone for my skin tone. I think this color here is kind of what makes it, this one and this one and this one actually kind of make it not right for my skin tone. I think this would be a beautiful eyeshadow palette though, like I said with the others too. Really nice bronzy shadows. But when I mix them all together and like I like to put shimmery bronzer on my forehead sometimes, it's just not the right tone on my skin tone. It's like too cool toned or red toned or something. It's just not right. So I've been mixing it in with my blush a little bit like I did today to add just kind of a little bit of interest, and that and then as eyeshadows is probably how I will use this product. Okay guys, so I think I'm actually going to wrap the video up here because I've been filming for quite a long time and I don't want this to be too long and drawn out. I'm going to save the eyeshadow palettes for part 2 where I'm also going to be discussing eyeliners, brow products, mascaras, and lip products. So that'll be a fun video. Stay tuned for that. And make sure you've entered my back to school giveaway. I have that going on right now. And yeah, I think that's everything I have to say. It's super hot in here, which is weird because it's not like hot outside, it's just in front of my lights and my pregnant body. I'm just super sweaty, so sorry if you can like see my sweat. I apologize. I was really excited to get this video out for you guys though. Like I've been holding on to some of these products for months and months and trying them and just trying to get a complete collection of all of the products, as many of the products as I could get my hands on, to give you guys a full review. So that's why I wanted to split it into 2 videos so that it can be very thorough and everything like that. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I love answering your questions. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. I really, really appreciate you guys. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That helps me out. And until next time, I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.